Hey y'all, what's up? It's Jerome, and I'm doing my weekly stand up. Last week was, I think, I wanted to say a slow week because I had a lot of meetings, but it was actually a thoughtful week. I did a lot of planning, a lot of ticket making. I had the project board, a lot of small cleanup tickets for people to come in and do a lot of work with our Cloudinary images. And then I have a bunch of stuff in the backlog as well for accessibility. I made these tickets intentional because I wanted to have some low hanging fruit for people to build velocity. I'm a big fan of easy tickets to build velocity for people and continue work. So that's cool. But I also treated this as a lesson point. Having a ticket that is fleshed out is a part of work as a software engineer. It's not just slinging code, especially in the era of AI assisted programming. You have to think about the ticket that you're making, right? The problem that you're solving. You're going to think more about it, right? Like what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to optimize image for browsers. So, and make it, lighter load, right? So I had F auto, Q auto, DPR auto, and then the width right here. All of this be, manipulated on the Cloudinary side. Now, as a senior, if I was the only person working on this app, the real problem I'd be solving is like, okay, so we use it on the code side when it comes to non-MDX driven work, and on the MDX side, when people use Markdown, build something, block populates into an XJS page. I should probably write some logic to do that so people don't have to do that again. And while that makes sense for me, it doesn't make sense for a junior is trying to get a piece of code written, right? They want to build confidence. So it's one of those things where not every solution that you have is actually a solution. It comes out how I think about building for other users beyond myself. Like, is a ticket for me or is a ticket for the goal of helping someone gain confidence? A little ticket like this, I can do this in 5 minutes. I can do 5 minutes a ticket, 2 hours of work. I can have 12, 15 of these done, probably on all 30, but it doesn't really help someone else that wants to take this ticket. And I'm like, yeah, sure, go for it. And I like making tickets super easy for people. If I was a project manager, I would be the person that is doing all of the fact finding as I'm building the board. I had a TPM like that a couple jobs ago, and that was the best TPM I've ever had. Like, they made the ticket and they made sure that they had the non-technical sales and people leave us alone. And we were able to focus on writing code, but the tickets were just so immaculate. You knew exactly where to go. They sent resources over just in case, make it easy to find. They were very much about flattening the curve of work. And I really appreciate it. I guess I learned something from it because I'm like, when I write tickets, that's the type of person I want to be. I don't want to be the type of person that just throws a ticket, an issue over, and it's your job to investigate it. If I throw an issue, I need to investigate it. I need to come up with at least a path for you to start on. And here's the problem. Here's how you replicate it. Here's how you go down a path of solving it. And you're in solution. If not, here are some resources you can use. Let people know how this impacts MHRC and won't change content, overall effort to optimize log images on a Vesico platform. The thing that they could put on their ticket, right? And then we'll be able to, later on, when we look at Cloudinary and Google Analytics, because having more pages for people to go through on Vesico is really helpful, because the Vesico website is popping now. We're getting more views than we had in it because we're adding more pages and doing a mixture of AI SEO parameters. As Google does more reading of your websites, you should be doing more writing because your stuff is going to come up. In a lot of places, particularly in my space, in the veteran nonprofit computer education space, are very focused on getting what they think vet tech is going to give them funding for. So they're only focused on things in the past. I don't really depend on that stuff. I am focused on how to learn how to code now with AI, especially with entry-level engineers. I just saw a software engineering cohort kick off at a veteran-focused nonprofit, and I'm like, you just had a software engineering cohort kickoff and you know the market is trash for entry level devs. You know that your curriculum is not up to speed or up to stuff for what the market is from then. Like, you know that, and you're still moving forward because you got to make money, right? You got to do the things. Like, that's why orgs really should focus on being as lean as possible. Like, I bet you code, we can run off of two people who are multi-hyphenates. Oh, you can code and you can write. Oh, you know, UX and you can draw. Oh, you also have business experience. You have entrepreneurship experience. You know, systems, programs, things like that. We can do that. But a lot of orgs, they can't because they focus so much on making more money expanding, and they really give a diluted product at the end. But that's my opinion. We're not going to touch that too much. We just had a lot of fun building these tickets, and I know there's a lot of impact that's going to come from this from my troops, because that's what I'm always trying to build, or just impact, period. If it doesn't build experience, it builds velocity. Velocity looks good on your GitHub. I always recommend my troops. I need to do it for the West Coast org page as well. Add a project, make it public so people can view it, put it on your GitHub repo. I'm doing my knife hand so you all can see how serious I am. Put it on the GitHub repo. That way, on your GitHub profile README, that's what I'm referring to. That way, when people make it there, they can see what you're working on. They can see a living document of the direction you're going. Let's say you're tight on time. You have a place where you can fill out stuff and write tickets and showcase that you are still moving forward towards this goal. These artifacts showcase growth. What you want to do, you want to showcase growth. You want to showcase action. You want to showcase that you're actively thinking, right? That's what user 3, which is decision makers like the tech team people, that's what they're thinking about. And that's what you need to focus on, right? You need to make artifacts for every person, right? Profile README is kind of fine. It's good if you put in all the right words and stuff in it. Portfolio is good for user 1. Your resume, that's good for user 2, which is hiring managers, non-technical people. User 2 and user 1 and 2 resume until user 3. User 3 is really going to look at the resume and then push your paces. User 3, which is technical people, this is what they look for. This is a tale that you're not just, opening your text editor and trying to push code. I used to be like that, but you have to be more thoughtful, more intentional, right? They want to know about efficiency. They want to know how you think. How you think can be shared in tickets, how you solve solutions, how you go down a path of solving solutions, how you think about writing code or writing tickets in a manner that makes it easier for people to just pick up in case they don't. And it's low hanging fruit that I always thought about. When you get to a big open source project, they should have an issues or a projects thing and be like, hey, would you mind if I came in and I started cleaning up tickets, cleaning up issues, making them more readable, doing research or stuff like that? Can I sit down with somebody? Maybe you want to go through a process in which you're scoring these. Is this a 1? Is this a 3? Is this a 5? There are different labels for issues, and you haven't got the time to label them. I would like to be the person that unblocks you so you can do more managerial things, right? So now I'm going through and I'm filling out those tickets in the backlog, making them good. Right. And as I get more confidence and you build more trust and confidence with me, maybe you can sit down and pair with me and show me how to do this. After a couple of times, I can come run to do this on my own. And then you can be the person that reviews and PRs my stuff. I think that's part of the problem in tech when it comes to open source and learning in public. People don't really want to work their way up while learning in public. You can learn in public and move faster than if you jump to a company if you did the right things. If you were like, hey, I'm going to start on the issue. Hey, I will do anything. You want me to clean up this? You want me to plan the talks? Do you need minutes done for the meeting? How do you communicate to people more often? If you want to do that, I'm down. So that's how I was done. Like my career, don't take my career as an example. I have talking to a therapist because, one of the things that we do is that we look at people. We try to figure out and judge them based off what we've accomplished, especially if you're a successful person or a person of any form of accomplishment. You try to I wouldn't do that because and you don't recognize that you're treating your miracles like Mondays. It's a rarity to build a thing that raises $10,000 and gets you invited to New York for 6 months. It's a rarity to build a thing that raises $10,000 in a weekend, gets you invited to New York for 6 months, and then 6 months after that, gets you invited to the White House. I am aware of the uniqueness. My therapist is working on me to not say it's privileged, even though I do feel like it's privileged, because I can look at someone and be like, I wouldn't do that. But then she's like, you earned it, but also think not everybody's able to do what you did, right? Not everybody has, focus and discipline and luck kind of just coincided right there. Like, you were disciplined, you were focused, you had goals, but you also had a stroke, you had a shot that you took. Not everybody has those type of moments in their life, or, they might, and it passes by. So you can't just judge off yours. This is where you need to be focused on creating the systems. My first 2 years in the game, I took these high risk maneuvers that you can only do within the last 2 years of your 20s, because then you hit 30 and your knees start hurting when it rains. And then you're like, yeah, I can't be, leaping before I look anymore unless I start doing some like mobility exercises and shit. So this is where it really starts. It really, like, I can't stress enough that it really starts at your systems, and then talking about your systems in public, because that shows growth. That shows, as my friend Scott, it shows hype, right? Like, you can't teach hype. You can't teach people to go the extra mile or to think about going the extra mile when it comes to getting better and anything, right? I can hold mitts for you, but I can't teach you to go and watch the same 3 to 5 seconds of tape to pick up every tick of a fighter. I can't do that. I can hand you a firearm, but I can't show you how to clear a building to the point where, you have a 92% success rate, right? Because we all know building clearing in Afghanistan, it was never 100% success rate, but you can get close. But like I said, I felt like this should be talked about, because I know I get into that mode where I should feel like I'm not doing anything because I'm not coding as much as I want to. But I did hit my coding metric for Vetsu Code last week, so I shouldn't feel like that. But this is also part of software engineering, right? We talk about this all the time. There's a difference between coding and software engineering, right? Like, software engineering is building the tickets, thinking about the performance of the product, the accessibility of the product, checking it on mobile. I saw a bug on mobile this morning. I was like, oh no, now we gotta log that. That's where the education comes in. I still got to do some good things. And, this is what helps me. I got some code in, was able to do this. This makes it feel good. I also got some good experiments in. Databricks last week made their community edition free. Now it's called Databricks Free. You can write Databricks code for free. This is something that I'm very interested in, because it allows me a new tool to teach veterans ML, AI, and data engineering, right? So I was playing with this most of the week. I actually use real data. Like, what you're seeing is work on real data from Vetsuka, from our donors. Hopefully, I'm showing any addresses or anything. But yeah, and as you see, it's running right now, standing by and do its thing. I was able to import, and this is where AI, you cannot use AI on times, right? Like right here, they did not know that the AI didn't know that you had to do it explicit like this to use the serverless tools, right? But here, it did, right? And I think because donor data has to be given to the IRS anyway, it's not a big deal, because people are putting it on their taxes anyway. So yeah, but created multiple, like, I got, donor data set, and then I got the ones that my top donors and people who haven't had a donation in a long time. I can start building out things like, hey, I might want to talk to someone or try to revitalize these donors or something like that. Or based upon, is a donor also sharing our nonprofit stuff, or they like our nonprofit stuff, I can revitalize that donor, right? I can go, let me go send an email to that donor talking about things we're doing and how we need their help. I am working to help upwards of 4,000 veterans a year. As a small nonprofit, it takes a long time to acquire our donors, but they give a substantial amount when they do. The pandemic really jacked up my numbers because that was when people were just companies just throwing money to feel good about themselves. So it's average. I might have to do a better number, exclude the numbers from these companies, right? I was able to, create donor tiers, bronze, gold, platinum, silver, just break down. And, which is very hilarious because I know that the big donors that's making that number of $600, like, oh, no, that's not realistic. But it's the bronze, over 50% of our supporters are small donors. Those are the ones that give $5, $10 every month. Those are the people that keep Mexico going, right? So I like to play with real data to learn how to use the thing. You don't have to, but for me, this is how I do it, right? And make CSVs of who to talk to, like high churn, high value, like how to communicate, all off of this one CSV that I pull from our donor box, right? This is where Python is really useful for you, right? You're able to, on a notebook, and I didn't use like notebooks. I used to be like, let me go to my text editor and do this. Why do I need to go to a notebook? But notebooks let you run code siloed so you can know exactly where and when it messed up without looking at all of the logs. So I can just solve one problem at a time, have it run, solve another problem at a time, have it run. Just keep going further and further, right? Other thing I learned about Inspect framework. So Inspect framework helps you grade and score LLMs. I was working with this because I saw this was the opportunity to grade and score LLMs and making intelligent applications. So here's my provider, Olam provider. I'm pulling in Olam. It's designed for like OpenAI to use, but I didn't want to do that. So I was like, I'm going to use Llama. So I had to build this to be able to use Olama and mock how it would be seen in Inspect. Right here, I have my local eval, print log JSON. Here is the eval run Python code. As you see right here, business as usual. Let you know about fallbacks if prompt is wrong. Then I have my export eval results where I'm essentially making an HTML template. It is the ugliest HTML template, but I just want to get something working, right? Like this was an experiment. I wasn't like going to show this, put it on a website. This was like beginner level front-end code. Like, oh, I just did a tutorial 2 hours ago and I'm really like, if you're like shit hot, this would be how you would write code if you had the first 2 days of your life learning about writing HTML, CSS. So this is what it pops up to. It shows me the accuracy, but it shows me the average to similarity of the answer as well between Mistral and Llama 3. Yeah, that's what I did. So I was like, what is the capital of France? The target answer was Paris. Mistral answer, was it a match? Yes. Was a similarity? 3.7. Now, Llama 3 said capital of France is Paris. So based upon the amount of words that it used, and essentially, I think it's like a token count of like, all right, how many tokens did it get to be able to answer the question? All right. So because it only took like, if I was to do this based upon, oh, this is like less than, we're being honest, it's probably less than 10 tokens right here. The similarity based upon the target answer is 27% because, here it is. Here are all the words that isn't it versus here this is, and here are all the words that isn't it and on in front of it as well. So it's like, oh, only 3% of what you said is the exact answer. And then create another diff. I just wanted to showcase how it counted things. I also have another question about the moon. When did humans first land on the moon? 1969. Now, this is very unique, right? Where the first time in Paris, it didn't take a long answer. Llama answered it in 6 words. That is a very unique finding. Like, why did it do that? You can start drilling down more into these. And I think that's the power and impact of these type of tools. The UK is just whooping our butts when it comes to trying to make AI safe. If Skynet happens, it'll be some Brit that will save us. It won't, it won't be an American, unfortunately. They're from GDPR to things like Inspect framework. They really do care about, tech being responsible for humans. It's wild. Black soldiers would go to France to be able to fight World War One, to fly planes and stuff, to be a part of being the bad guys. Same with World War Two, like beyond Tuskegee Airmen and Triple Nickel. A lot of people that wanted to be in a fight that were African American, they would go to France to get the glory of combat, I guess is what you would say. But, starting to see that same thing with AI safety. If you want to make AI responsible, you need to work in Europe, which is concerning. But hopefully things will change around here. People will start seeing the importance of, making AI safe first, then profitable versus the way around. But yeah, that's my 2 cents about making profitable AI. Take it or leave it. But that's my stand up for today, for this week. I'm hoping to, push some code, knock out some tickets, just do a lot of work in Next.js and more Python work, trying to see where you start the positive impact of converting apps into intelligent applications. What we're seeing is a lot of new stuff starting off either as intelligent applications, but are trying to embed it the wrong way. You see how they're doing it, where they're throwing a co-pilot in everything. It's like, yeah, but that's not really the right way to do it. So, particularly with Vetsu code, my problems is like with intelligent applications, I want to first make sure Vetsu code cares, right? The thing I'm thinking about with AI is, as a user, you log in, you're doing your work, and then suddenly you drop off from doing your work. Then you stop meeting your mentor. When do I say this is the person that got busy with life, or this might be a crisis? How do I judge that? Because I'm dealing with veterans. So I'm thinking about how, with AI, can I judge if something should be looked further into? This person just needed a vacation or something like that. Should I look more into it? This person might be in crisis or something might have happened. Because, we still have a 22 a day thing going on that America has not solved yet. So I'm just trying to figure that part out and then start figuring out even more into that. I might just build a thing to help be a part of that solution as well. That's where I'm thinking. How do I build a thing with intelligence to ensure that it cares or lets people know that we care? Like after 24, 48 hours, an automated email or automated text message like, hey, you haven't logged in for a couple of days. We just want to make sure that you're okay. How do I not have that happen all the time every time someone takes a break? How do I be able to discern, like, okay, this person might have a problem? I want to prod people to keep going, even though life happens, but I also want to make sure, like, there's a difference between life happening and a difference between crisis. And I'm trying to really figure that out. You just can't revalidate, oh, this person has not signed in, and then check the database. This person hasn't signed in 2 days to send a message, because you don't know what's going on. Maybe the first time I'll send a message, but maybe the second, third time. If there's a pattern, it won't be as high alert. But the first time, probably get the mentor involved. But it'd be like a PagerDuty thing where the mentor gets a notification. I get a notification, email goes out, text message might go out as well, because I care. And I want to make sure that I can care across the board. Invites, who's going to be there, who's going to be your wingman or your battle buddy. I'm calling it wingman because I'm Air Force. I know Army dudes want to call it battle buddy. Sounds kind of weird to me, but I've been doing a lot of weird shit lately. So I might implement a wingman strategy in there. Like, this is your wingman. The reason why we have wingman is because this shit is hard and you need someone that's going to push you. And that's where the interviewing process gets more human, because most code schools, particularly when it comes to veterans, they are only thinking about how much money they can get from from the troops, right? How much money they can get from whatever government program, whether it's the GI Bill, VECTEC, Chapter 33, Golden Ribbon or Yellow Ribbon. That's all they're thinking about. But they're not thinking about them completing it. How do we have them complete it? How do we ensure they're okay doing it? How do we flatten this curve, right? Because learning is hard. Adult learning as a veteran and civilian sectors, incredibly hard because you have now gone from the process of everything that you have learned. Either warfighters come home, or warfighters like easier, or warfighting more efficient. Like that is every aspect of your life to you got to pass this class or this metric. It doesn't hit the same when it comes to, particularly to enlisted troops. It's so much more difficult. Having a code where you can actually help people, right? Like that's been the secret of my success, is having something that I can build new things on and continue to build and help people with. That's the reason why I've been able to continue to learn. I'm very open about that. I've been able to help people. I don't think I'd been able to learn if I couldn't help more people learn how to write code more efficiently, get mentored by people, and learn how to become better teachers that way. I don't think I'll be a programmer. I think I'd have done something else, right? The market started shifting. I had all this law enforcement and stuff. I could have been a federal agent, something like that. I could have something, you know, that White House Down would make a movie off of. Or I could have been a part of a group that people hate, but I would have probably went in my dad's footsteps and became a firefighter. Also, happy Father's Day to everybody. My phone has been going off the ringer because everybody has remembered that I have 4 boys. I have a gray hair for each boy and my wife. We get a lot of thank yous. My wife made a very great dinner that I'm very excited. I was already snuck a bite out of because I'm that dude. You can't have good food around me and expect me not to sneak in the kitchen. I also got some really cool Blackwing pencils. Anybody doesn't know me, the easiest way to get favor with me is Blackwing pencils, moleskins, and field notes. Like those are like stationary. It has to be the neurodivergence because the way I am with stationary at almost 40 is wild. I am looking right now at over the course of the past 4 or 5 years, at least $1,000 worth of stationery, pens, pencils, and notebooks. I am going to try because I am a big fan of writing notes, using notes to get the things out of my head. If it stays in my head and doesn't make it to something, I'm going to forget it. And that's a great idea that has been passed. So I'm very excited to, see what new things I can come up with right after recording this. But outside of that, happy Father's Day to everybody. Have enjoy your socks and tie that you usually get. I will talk to you all next week.